It's been odd weather here in East Tennessee, sometimes cold, sometimes blustery, and a lot of rain. Which means it's been kind of hard to go outside in nature and take video and pictures. So for this tea time, I thought we would snuggle in, stay cozy, and maybe paint a small watercolor. This is a little book that I made myself a couple years ago and have been slowly filling it in as I have time and inclination. Some of them are good, some of them are not so good, but they were all fun to do and quite the learning experience. So on this cold and blustery day, I decided to add to it. So let's sketch one of my favorite subjects, a little cottage surrounded by some trees and maybe a lake next to it. And while I'm creating this little house, let's go ahead and talk about why art and creation is so important in your life and what you can do if you're too afraid to start. Now, I got lucky enough to do a small workshop with an artist named Colby Bloom. She's published 3 books so far on art and watercolors. And she was such an inspiration and such an encouragement that I really wanted to share them with you. So I actually wrote down some of the things that she said, and I thought we could expand on them a bit. One of my favorite quotes from her was, "Art is what is beautiful to you." For me, I took that to mean that if I want to draw lots of little cottages surrounded by trees next to a lake, then that's exactly what I should draw. Being an artist doesn't mean that you know how to draw or paint every little thing. Some people can make the most beautiful portraits you ever saw, but can't draw a tree. Some can draw beautiful sailboats on the water on a sunset, but can't draw a cityscape to save their life. And of course, you'll meet people who can seemingly draw anything they put their mind to, but it's okay if you can't. For instance, I really can't draw people. I have a very hard time making a portrait. And while I continue to practice here and there doing it, it's not something that I really put a lot of emphasis on. But that doesn't mean that I can't draw a log cabin in the mountains with some beautiful flowers around it. So don't worry about what you think you can't draw. Focus instead on what you can. Another favorite quote of mine was, "You cannot do art wrong." Your art is what feels good to you, whether that's abstracts or scribbles, doodles, hyperrealism, surrealism, impressionism. It can be anything that you enjoy. She also said to practice telling yourself that it's okay to not know what you're doing. And boy, is that a big important point, which can help you in so many other facets of your life, not just art. Sometimes we hate uncertainty and discomfort, and that can be made an example when you're staring at a blank white page, not knowing what to draw. But in forcing yourself to put pen to blank paper, you're telling your mind that new experiences in which you may not know what you're doing is perfectly okay. Perfectionism can rob us of so much in life. I know because I'm guilty of it myself. As a teenager and 20-something, I let perfectionism rob me of many an experience. But creating these little artscapes and little doodles have showed me that perfectionism only ruins the overall experience, and in the end hurts you more than it helps you. A pencil, some paints even, and a blank page is a perfect way to practice exposure therapy to ending perfectionism. She went on to point out that sketching is for playing, not for knowing what you're doing. Remember as a child how excited you would be with a box of brand new Crayola crayons and some blank sheets of paper, and you could not wait to get to coloring. Ideas flowed from your mind so easy, and it was fun and relaxing. That is what art as an adult can teach you now. It can pull you back to that time when you were excited to create. You were brave putting all those colors to paper. And as an adult, it can give you a wonderful sense of accomplishment and satisfaction when you look at something that you have made. And if that hasn't convinced you, there's lots of new research out there that shows that art can not only help alleviate anxiety and depression, but it can also help in the prevention of dementia and Alzheimer's. Learning something new, such as art, can create new connections and pathways in the brain, which can help in the loss of memory later on. Learning something new can help keep your mind sharp and focused. Now, this can apply to other things besides art, but art can be as inexpensive as a sheet of paper and a pencil, and can also give you the excuse to play with every color and a giant pack of markers. It also has the advantage of allowing you to see the world differently. You look at colors differently. You start to wonder, what would you mix together to make that particular green or that kind of red? You'll look at a beautiful sky and wonder, could I paint that? You may see a picture that will give you an idea that you'll want to sketch out immediately. Or it may give you a relaxing afternoon after a hard day of sketching a beautiful tree on your front porch. And if you're worried about being too old to start, go ahead and just throw that idea right out the window. The human mind is a wonderful thing that loves to learn no matter what your age. You can start to draw and doodle even if you haven't picked up a pencil to do so since you were 10. And remember that the whole point is to stretch your horizons. You'll create art that you like, art you love, art you don't like, and maybe even art you hate and want to cover up. But it doesn't matter because it's your experiments, it's your time, it's your creativity. The key is to not worry about what the final product is going to be. Just learn to be in the process itself. And if your final product ends up a little lopsided, just remember that Picasso built his entire career on lopsided and asymmetrical subjects. And now, what could be more perfect to add to this cold day than some wonderful cherry rose scones from another edition of Tea Time magazine? I was so excited for this one as it's a special gluten-free recipe. And now, of course, we're going to start by putting our gluten-free flour, sugar, baking powder, cardamom, and salt together so we can whisk it all up. I use King Arthur's gluten-free measure-to-measure flour, and I've always had very good results from it. And now the only change I made to this recipe, because I'm also dairy-free, was substituting heavy coconut cream instead of actual cream. I was a little worried at first that it wouldn't react the same, but it made a beautiful and very tasty scone, so I was very pleased with this product. You'll also cube your butter. I'm using vegan butter, and it also baked up beautifully with this product as well. And with a pastry cutter or a couple of forks, you're going to go ahead and work that butter into the flour until it makes small crumbs. Now you'll carefully chop your cherries, and we'll be adding that to the flour mixture. And then you can add your cream and rose water mix to your flour mix. I bought that rose water from a Shaker village in Kentucky, and it's so fragrant and wonderful. I love it. And now begins the fun part. We're going to knead the dough on a floured surface so we can roll it out and start cutting the scones. I was a little bit worried as the flour seemed kind of extra crumbly, but it pulled together in the end and did make a really good end product. So roll them out about a 3/4 inch thickness and cut them out, being careful not to twist. Now, I used heart cookie cutters because I just so happen to have them, but you can use whatever shape you want. When you're done cutting them all out, pop them in your freezer for about 20 minutes before you bake. Brush the tops with more of that wonderful cream. And bake for about 20 to 25 minutes at 350. They came out so fragrant and so cute. And I decided to pair it with my favorite Lady Grey tea. And some wonderful strawberry freezer jam. This was a wonderful snack to enjoy on a cold, rainy day while making a bit of art and filling another page in my sketchbook.
And if you like historical cooking and unusual cookbooks, here's 2 more videos you might enjoy. And make sure to like and subscribe for more foodie adventures.